biggest misconception is that crypto is a scam. Over the last 3 years, we've really seen an exponential growth, not just in Kosovo, but in the broader Balkans region. We've just hit a milestone of 2 million users in the Balkans. Everyone told me not to do it. Everyone was like, it's a scam, you're ruining your career. I've never had such a reaction. And my gut at the time was telling me that it was the right move. The most important thing that you need to start, and the biggest principle that you need to ingrain in your brain, is doing your own research. We've added 170 million. I think the business secret is the user obsession. Especially love the CR7 partnership. He chose us as Binance when everyone else was offering him partnerships and arguably more money. False. This industry is intense. 7 days a week, it's 24/7. Like, you have to be ready to really, there's no such thing as an off day.
Rachel, welcome to Kosovo.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome.
Mirë se erdhët në këtë epizod të veçantë ku sot do të flasim për strategjitë globale, për brendet e mëdha, se si kemi arritur jo vetëm ne si Kosovë, por edhe si Ballkan, por edhe si botë ju besojmë brendeve të mëdha, si ja kanë dalur me shumë sukses. Do të flasim gjithashtu edhe për pjesën e marketingut, do të flasim se si marketingu nuk është vetëm një komunikim në ditët e sotme, është kulturë, është vizion dhe është ndikim tek shoqëritë e mëdha dhe shtresat e ndryshme të kulturës sonë. Rachel Conlan është drejtoresha gjenerale e Binance, një brendi të jashtëzakonshëm botëror. Është bursa më e madhe në botë e kriptovalutave. Ne të flasim pikërisht me të, por edhe për historikun e saj. Ajo ka vendosur të bashkohet brendit Binance, kësaj kompanie gjigante në vitin 2023, por derisa brenda një kohë shumë të shkurtër ishte promovuar edhe nga pozita e zëvendës presidentes në drejtoreshë gjenerale të marketingut. Do të flasim po ashtu për sukseset e saj të njëpasnjëshme, se si ajo ka arritur që të punojë me 230 profesionistë në 100 shtete të ndryshme të botës. Do të flasim po ashtu edhe për historinë e saj se si ka gjetur numrin e përdoruesve 150 milion, duke rritur atë në 317 milion përdorues në mbar botën. Dhe shumë partneritete me figura të mëdha siç është Cristiano Ronaldo, Kabi, The Weeknd dhe shumë anëtar të ekipit të Formula 1. Rachel, welcome to Kosovo.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome.
Thank you so much. The introduction was in Albanian just for our audience, but actually our conversation will flow into the English.
Thank you. My Albanian is not good. And I'm trying to
because it's your very first time here in Kosovo.
It is. It's my first time. I've been here 24 hours so far. And as you know, I'm Irish, and I've been blown away, first of all, by the similarities. It's beautiful to be here, and the people are so welcoming, but also just the energy. It's totally unmatched, and I think the conference today and the summit today is indicative of this entrepreneurial energy that's in Pristina.
As an Irish with origin, actually, you really appreciate hospitality. Did you find it already in Kosovo?
Yes. So far, from being greeted at the airport by the amazing team to being looked after. Also, the coffee. I think I've already shared that with you, but the coffee is excellent, and I'm going to need to bring some coffee beans back to UAE.
Basically, we are really known into the worldwide for our best macchiatos.
I know. I only learned that on this trip, so it helps feed my addiction to coffee, which is perfect, and keeps the energy going as well.
Glad to hear that. Well, why Kosovo, Rachel? What were the main reasons that you're here today?
Look, we're really privileged to be the largest crypto exchange globally. We sit at now 317 million users, and we operate in over 180 markets. But since we were birthed 9 years ago, the focus has always been community first and on truly understanding the markets that we're entering, that we are building in, that we're growing in. And over the last 3 years, we've really seen an exponential growth, not just in Kosovo, but in the broader Balkans region. And we've seen, for a variety of factors, from the incredible population here that is one of the youngest in Europe, to the commitment and their deep passion about technology. There's been a perfect marriage of reasons why we've seen this incredible growth. We've just hit a milestone of 2 million users in the Balkans. And Binance, this is the second time in 2 years. So it's our second time partnering with the Balkans Blockchain Summit. And the reason we do that is, while it's important to be here and live here virtually and be omnipresent, it's these moments like these summits that you really get to understand the community. You get to understand what we're doing well, what we need to do better, what are the new products and services we need to be considering. you get the opportunity just to sit and break bread with not just retail users. We spent time today with policy, with regulators, with startup founders, with some of the leading voices in AI. And that really helps you understand more of the local society and then how we as Binance can show up in a better way.
I would like to focus our conversation also in Kosovo, but also in Western Balkans. And here comes the comparison. How do you see the crypto community in Kosovo, Western Balkans?
Versus Western Balkans? Well, wow. Okay, that's a great question. Look, I'm really lucky in the role I'm in to travel to all of our markets. And I spend more time in the markets where we're seeing really fast growth. And this is one of... as a European, I can say this, I'm always disappointed in how far behind Europe is in overall crypto adoption, crypto regulation, in truly educating themselves on crypto and the values for society. This is a complementary technology to what is the existing financial infrastructure and systems as we know it. But what struck me about Kosovo is there is a genuine desire from many of the stakeholders here to truly understand how they can integrate this technology into the existing plumbing to improve everyday people's lives. And for me, when you see that in a market, it's something that we as Binance, as the largest, we're very lucky to wield a lot of power. We need to ensure we're nurturing that and ensuring that we're supporting our community in the right way.
I can notice, and it is obvious that you are proudly saying that Binance is the largest and the most powerful brand when it comes to crypto and blockchain as well. So what is the biggest lesson that you learned being part of this brand?
Yeah, look, where we sit at the moment, we're still only at 8% global adoption. And there's about 790 million users of crypto as of today. And if you think about that, nearly 1 in 2 people are interacting with Binance in the crypto industry. So with being the largest and with being given the endorsement to be that comes a lot of responsibility and accountability. Yeah. And for us, that manifests itself or takes shape in the work that we do at the government level, at the regulator and the policy level to ensure, regulation should exist to support users and to support the everyday person. I think you and I both know that doesn't always happen everywhere. So I think in this industry, more so than other industries, whether it be traditional finance or healthcare, we play that role of acting as the navigator and the educator, not just for the everyday person, but for those policymakers, so that we are fighting on behalf of our community and our users. And I mean fighting in the most positive way. I mean more acting as that first line of defense.
But based on that, what is the biggest misconception that people know about Binance and crypto?
I think the biggest misconception, and look, I think this is an industry-wide issue, is that crypto is a scam. And I think the irony of it, and I have big debates at home, with my family about this, and they're coming around to my way of thinking now and understanding. If we look at traditional finance, I think it's still at 3.2% of funds that are passing through traditional industry is still associated to scams or to money laundering issues. That percentage is cut by almost 100 when you look at the blockchain. And the reason for that is the whole beauty of the blockchain is it is transparent, it is fast, it allows anyone access who understands how to access on the on-chain analytics to understand the flow of funds. And that means that we're able to seed out and detect scams, bad players, and money laundering much earlier. And we report that. We work hand in hand with most of the law enforcement companies globally, law enforcement teams in countries globally. And in fact, we have over, just to give you context on how important this is, we have about 300 people in marketing and comms globally and locally. Now, we have 180 markets, so that's spread thin, as you can imagine. We have about 1,490 people working in compliance, law enforcement. And really what they're doing is working with law enforcement at a local level to ensure that, given the space is accelerating at such a pace, really helping them understand how they can keep their community and their citizens safe. And that's something, I think that's a first when you look at the private-public sector and the opportunities there.
How marketing actually can affect the regulatory system and also the compliance and everything? Can they complement each other, or can they help somehow?
I probably speak to our chief compliance officer like every morning and every evening, you know. I think, first of all, if I remember and recall from years ago when I grew up at school, no one ever explained to me how finance operated. Like, my first post office account, is what we call in Ireland, was open for me. Then, you know, the day I started in university, I opened a bank account with the first bank that handed me a leaflet. Like, I had no awareness about how the financial system worked, or about where I should understand more about what it was doing for me. My interest peaked, you know, in the big Wall Street crash in 2008, because I understood that actually where I thought funds were safe, you know, through what we were seeing in the kind of the global playing field, is that wasn't, and that there was a whole other side. So what I see my role as a marketeer, working with my chief compliance officer and the team, and working with my security teams, and working with our law enforcement teams, is to make what they do, which is very complicated sometimes, and not always easy to understand for everyone, to translate that and make it digestible, so that we can ensure that with the education tools that we're providing, we are helping users understand and empowering them to understand how to keep themselves safe. So that could be something as simple as doing like an education course on Binance Academy, or it's something as simple as ensuring that through the marketing we're doing, we get a user to put 2FA, you know, on their profile. And that's really important to us.
Binance being actually the largest player in the game in the world, on the one side, and on the other side, actually, many people do not even know what the crypto is. So, to relate also with your previous answer, when it comes to education, are you focused more on growth or education, actually?
Oh, I think growth comes from education, but it comes from education of every type of stakeholder. And by stakeholder, I mean all the people we interact in. So, you know, when you talk about government education and policy education, we're doing a lot of policy roundtables and helping. When I talk about retail education, events like today, and, you know, we do over 3,000 events a year. Physical events as Binance. And the reason we do them is because in a digital world, not everyone is comfortable asking the difficult questions. And, you know, what I love seeing is down in our booth here in Pristina is people coming over to our Binance Angels and our Binance staff and asking them, like, how do I fix my account, or how do I set this up in the right way? And that's really the purpose of these in-person moments. And with the right education, and then when you build the right trust, and then you add, you know, utility, where we're you know, bringing the right products and services to market, that's how you build long-term growth. So, you know, for me, education is the long tail. That's a key channel to us ensuring that we continue to be a dominant player, not just now, but in the future.
As you mentioned already, we are one of the youngest population in Europe, and you are so lucky to have us, and also we are lucky to have you here today. So basically, what would be the best advice to a 20-year-old that wants to get involved in Binance, in crypto, in blockchain, but basically doesn't simply know how, when, and where?
So the first thing I'm going to say, and this is interesting, 5 years ago when I entered into this space, because I've had like a 18-year career before I came into crypto, everyone told me not to do it. Everyone was like, it's a scam, you're ruining your career. I mean, I've never had such a reaction to entering into the space. And my gut at the time was telling me that it was the right move, and that it was something that was going to become part of the shape of how the industry, the financial industry. Remember, I'd seen in the last 20 years lots of industries being disrupted, from transport with Uber, you know, to healthcare, you know, the list is long, to beauty. You know, we've seen everything being disrupted by technology. And I felt really strongly about coming into the space. You know, my main motivation was coming into this because of the democratization element. That there's many people in the world that, you know, the current financial system is not serviced by. There's 1.8 billion people unbanked still, which is crazy when you think that's nearly 1 in 4 of the global population cannot access financial tools. So I came into the space because of that, and realized that I could have a tiny, tiny, tiny part to impact, and, you know, have a meaningful impact on that. I think if you're someone that's sitting at home today and is interested in just either buying some assets, investing in some assets, or holding some assets, or someone else who's interested in seeing how you can use the technology, the blockchain technology, to start your next business. The most important thing that you need to start, and the biggest principle that you need to kind of ingrain in your brain, is doing your own research. And by doing your own research, we call it Dior, is what we say in crypto. We love slang words. And the reason we say that is because it's really about understanding how you should enter into this space. There's lots of different ways to do that. So Binance Academy, I'm going to give a plug if you don't mind. Binance Academy, is our online platform that was developed about 6 years ago now, which is like a masterclass for everything related to crypto, everything related to this technology. So it could be something as basic as what is Bitcoin to something, the more detailed trading fundamentals. But the reason I say start with education is because then you can understand, based on your risk tolerance, your knowledge, your appetite, the area of interest you have, where you enter in.
So you enjoy the whole journey, actually.
Yeah, but you can start like something. I know friends who've started with, 10 USDT or C to start with. Some have lost that 10 USDC, others have turned it into $1,000.
So there are successful stories?
Lots of successful stories. But let's be honest, no one likes to celebrate success. Yeah. The human situation is that we like to talk about the negative, because the negative makes us all feel a little bit better. So, one of the biggest things I try and do is show that there is this very it's not a utopia, because there's no utopia in finance, but that there's this opportunity, and this is a very empowering technology that allows you to take control back.
If they get the proper education, actually, through your platform, how fast can the results be seen? The very first ones, we say.
I think that's a difficult question to answer, because I think it really depends on the individual, their circumstances. Like, for example, I wish I could go back 15 years and buy my first Bitcoin. I can't. It's not possible. But I do think, if you approach this in a strategic, thoughtful, informed way, it depends what your goals are. Some people, it's to hedge against inflation, in markets like Turkey. In other markets, it's to use for remittances and, for diaspora sending back. So it really depends on how you want to interact. But I think if you use it in the way that's relevant for you, you can see value and benefit immediately.
Under your leadership, Binance experienced an extraordinary growth, and it comes to user base as well. It started like 150 million, and right now, as we are talking, it's over than 300 million. Yeah. What is the secret behind this?
Lots of late nights. We've added 170 million. I think the secret overall, the business secret, is the user obsession. Like, there is a user obsession. And we're not perfect. We know we're not perfect. We test and learn a lot. But I think the user obsession and really listening to our users, both existing and potential new users, and understanding how we need to reimagine the platform or reimagine products and tools, is what sets us apart from many financial institutions, and actually many institutions generally. I also think we have been incredibly privileged through the grassroots efforts and the education initiatives over the last 9 years to build a community like I have seen nowhere else in branding. I talk to my peers in other companies. Like, we have a fan base like a sports club has a fan base, and we feel very privileged. So, we constantly try and focus on that community and making sure we're providing them the right resources and tools. But ultimately, I think it's one of the reasons for the success has been, fighting the fight where it was uncomfortable and it was really hard. And, we were breaking things that not everyone wanted to break. But I think by constantly staying true to what the goal is of providing financial freedom for at scale and looking at the utility, I think we've been able to, secure this very lucky position. And, let's hope that we get to do that in the future through the same playbook.
Is this industry still male-dominated? And how we can convince more females like you to join and get involved much deeper as you are?
I'm going to make you laugh. I've worked in 3 main industries: advertising, sports and entertainment, and crypto. And in all of those industries, I've been a kind of spokesperson. Every industry I was asked, is that male-dominated? Because unfortunately it is. But look, I think that I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, in technology general, there is an underrepresentation of females, and that's across the board. I think we're really lucky in crypto to have some very powerful icons, like He Yi, who I work with, who's the co-founder of Binance, like Lily Liu at Solana, we have very powerful female representation that has attracted next generation in. I'll give an example. Our marketing team is, 51% female of the 300. Our management committee, which I sit on, is 45% female. But we still have an issue where 1 in 5 founders are female. So look, I think the only way that we can do this is, constantly try and encourage more women to come in, encourage more women to take the development, like the dev and engineering path, which is critical. That's critical as well in order to be able to build financial products that service everyone in the future. But I don't think our industry, what I love about our industry, and this happens a lot, because we're such an international company and we work remotely, not everyone puts on their cameras all the time. And sometimes I don't even know what gender people are in my organization. So it's not about the gender debate here. It's about what is the outcome of the work that we're all doing. It's a very inclusive and welcoming environment.
And when it comes to great partnerships, actually, you cooperated with global names. I emphasized also in the introduction, you cooperated with great names like Cristiano Ronaldo, The Weeknd, Kabe, different teams of Formula One Alpine. Yeah. What was the experience, actually? How did you interact with them, and how it was... do you consider that it was really successful partnership with each of them?
Look, trying to stand out in the current world we live in is impossible. And many of the names you're mentioning are GOATs, in their greatest of all time in their respective fields. So, and my background is cultural marketing. I worked in Universal Entertainment as part of Havas. I've spent time at Creative Artists Agency, which is the largest sports entertainment agency globally. And I think that culture is one of the best ways to translate technology and its use cases. And what I have found about all of those partnerships, and I especially love the CR7 partnership, because I'd worked with him before and then I got to work with him on the brand side, is, he is someone who is always striving to be the best in whatever area of his field. And he chose us as Binance when everyone else was offering him partnerships and arguably more money than we were. And the reason he did that is because, and the reason he was so careful about how he partnered with us, we used it as an education platform. And it's just a way to introduce yourself into people's psyche in a way that's comfortable and where you're invited in, because it's someone that they trust and credible. But what you do with it, then once you've kind of opened that window or opened that door, is then you really need to show the user or show the person like the true value. And that's where I think those partnerships have been really useful, is allowing us tell stories about this industry, allow us translate the technology and engage with users that may not have interacted with us previously.
What are you most proud of Binance experience till now as you step down as CMO this June?
Yes, so after nearly 4 years at Binance and 5.5 years in the industry, I'm stepping down in a month, which is a really tough decision to make. And I think many are questioning. I'm really lucky to be, not just a leader, but a female leader at the pinnacle of my career here. But, I'm a big believer in you have to show up for your team in the best way possible. And, this industry is intense, 7 days a week, it's 24/7. Like, you have to be ready to really, there's no such thing as an off day because of the nature of the cycles and how it evolves. So for me, I recognized after multiple conversations with my husband that, I needed to just reset a little. So and I think the most important thing you can do as an individual is manage your career and manage how you show up. So for me, I need to take a little bit of time away to come back in.
How long?
I'm going to take a few months. I'm going to spend this summer. I've got a 4-year-old, so I entered into Binance at the same time as having a newborn. Okay. So my little boy has grown up alongside Binance. He's like my other baby. I've got the Binance baby and my son. But for me, I think the advice I would give is this is a marathon, not a sprint. And I remember being, 20 years old and obsessed with what next, what can I do next? And I see it with some of the young people on the team. They're focused on today, but they're even more focused on tomorrow. And there's a healthy balance to that. And for me, to any young people, I think it's make sure you're incredible about what you do today. If you've got a boss, or whether you're, an individual entrepreneur building something, make sure you're doing it to the best of your abilities. It doesn't need to be perfect. doing the best you can is different from being perfect. But I think that's what's really critical if you're in this field or beyond. And then also acknowledging that you have to set the environment and set the rules in which you want to operate. So for me, like I'm conscious now, I just need a little break. I need to sleep a little bit and be a mom for a few months. But then that will refuel me and ensure that I'm coming back into the space in a way that is energized and bringing more value to my everyday. But the thing I'm most proud about, to answer the first part of your question, is my team. So I think...
Great leaders say that.
Well, I've got a really exceptional team. Like, we are not perfect. I don't think any organization now is perfect. I think things are just moving too quickly for that. But I've got an incredible team, and whether that be at the central level or at the local level, that the passion and the commitment that they have for Binance, and more importantly for our community and for the growth of this industry, I think is unparalleled, which is why every competitor tries to steal them. But for me, that's something I'm really proud of, because I think over the last 3.5 years, we've been in the trenches together, lots of late nights, lots of coffee, not as good macchiatos as you have, but I think for me, seeing the team now and feeling comfortable to be able to step away and knowing that the team is going to continue the great work is the thing that I'm most proud of.
Is it harder to be part of large companies like Binance, that is global and the most largest one, and the most successful one? Or is it harder to join a company that is still building their reputation?
It's a great question as well. I've done both because I've been co-founder of a couple of companies as well. I think it comes with different challenges and drains and pulls on your time. Yeah. I think, when you're in a company that's large, there's often politics, bureaucracy, and that's every company. Once you go over 1,000 people, that's happening, or even over 500 people. But I think in startup, you can be dealing with the same political dynamics, and you're also dealing with founders, which have very strong perspectives, not always right on how things should go. So I don't think it's about hard. I think it's about how you take that situation and turn it into a learning opportunity to become the best at what you can. And that's how I've looked at all my professional experiences.
And are you optimistic that you will find even more progress when you come back to Binance?
Yes, I think so. Look, we used to talk about being on the path to hit 1 billion users. And we had a leadership offsite recently. And we've started talking about 3 billion users, because we think that that's when 1 in 2 people globally are using crypto, whether they know it or not. And this is where I mean, I don't think we're going to see every person holding Bitcoin or holding BNB. It will be omnipresent. It will be an invisible technology that makes our financial system better, whether that be payments, whether that be remittances, whether that be new AI-powered trading products. It will be omnipresent. What I've seen even in the last 6 months, so I can only imagine in the next 3 to 6 months what will happen, is going to be extraordinary.
At this end part of this conversation, we have some short questions.
Oh, yeah? Okay, I love a short question. As long as
they are called myth or true. So you will choose which one.
Okay, true or false? Or
yes, something like that.
Okay, let's see if I do this right. Sometimes it takes me a while.
Okay. Checking your portfolio 45 times an hour actually makes the price go up faster?
False.
Okay. The exact moment you decide to sell a coin you've held for months, that coin will pump 300% within the next 10 minutes?
Probably true.
It is scientifically proven that food tastes 50% worse when the market is red?
Totally true.
Totally
true. Everyone's just down. It's a different energy.
Every crypto investor has at least once calculated how much money they would have if they bought Bitcoin in 2010 instead of buying lunch.
True. That's so true. I mean, every conversation
Did you do it for your own?
Yeah, definitely have done it. Yeah.
The first sign that you've gotten too deep into crypto is when you start dreaming in green and red candles?
True. Those are great. Those are a lot of fun.
Thank you so much being part of us, being of this podcast. It was really my pleasure to have you here, and hopefully you will enjoy Kosovo and also people here.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you. Kaq për këtë epizod, shpresoj që kemi përfituar jashtëzakonisht shumë nga këshillat e Rachel Conlan. Jo gjithmonë na vjen në Kosovë, ne kishim privilegjin ta kishim sot në këtë epizod. Shihemi javën tjetër. Mirëmbëjtje.